أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وحبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين الهداة المهديين واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى يوم الدين. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بقية الله خير لكم إن كنتم مؤمنين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. When will Imam Al-Mahdi reappear is a question on the minds of many of us. And the day of his reappearance is a day that we all eagerly wait for and look forward to. And that's why we speak to him. We say, Sayyidi wa Mawlai, Ya Sahib al-Zaman. It's been almost 1200 years since you went into the state of occultation, ghaiba. Isn't it time for you to appear and rise and fill our hearts with joy and fill the world with justice? Isn't it time for you to rise and destroy the enemies of your Shia? Isn't it time for you to rise and to implement the true and genuine religion of your grandfather Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi that has been distorted? Sayyidi wa Mawla, Ya Sahib al-Zaman. Do you not see the plight of your Shia? Do you not witness our dire and desperate condition? Sayyidi wa Mawlai, Ya Sahib al-Zaman. Do you not see the injustices that your Shia face on a daily basis? The humiliation, the weakness that we are at. When will we finally have the honor to see your beautiful, holy and illuminating face? Sayyidi wa Mawlai, Ya Sahib al-Zaman. We are desperately and impatiently waiting for you. When will you reappear? Al-Ajal, Al-Ajal. Adrikna, Ya Sahib al-Zaman. This is how many of us we speak to Imam Al-Mahdi. And these are some of the questions that we ask Imam Al-Mahdi. But the true question that we should be asking is, who's waiting for whom? Are we truly waiting for the Imam? Or is it the other way around? Is the Imam waiting for us? This is the correct question for us to ask. Because you see, many of us, the idea that we have about the Imam is that Imam Al-Mahdi, when it comes to his reappearance, when we speak about him, when we speak to him directly, it's as if we're ready, we've been ready, we're waiting, and we're sick and tired of waiting for him, and he's the one that's postponing. This is how some of us think. But the truth and the reality couldn't be any further. We will come to realize that it's completely the other way around. Imam Al-Mahdi is the one that's ready and waiting for us. We are the ones that keeping Imam Al-Mahdi from reappearing. So it's exactly the other way around. And that's why the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam says about Imam Al-Mahdi, Al-Mahdi minna ahl al-bayt yuslihu Allahu amrahu fi layla. Imam Al-Mahdi is ready. Whenever we're ready, the next day he'll be ready and rise. So Imam Al-Mahdi doesn't need time to get ready. He's ready. When Allah sees that we are ready, the next day he will send Imam Al-Mahdi and he will rise. This is the true way that we look at Imam Al-Mahdi. This is the correct way. And that's why many people, they ask, we understand why Imam Al-Mahdi went into the ghaiba. We understand the purpose of Imam Al-Mahdi in the ghaiba. But why so long? 1200 years is in the ghaiba. What is he waiting for? The answer is simple. He's waiting for us. We are the ones that are keeping him in the ghaiba. And this is what leads us to this discussion. There are conditions that we understand from the ahadith to the reappearance of the Imam. Before those conditions are met, the Imam cannot reappear. And there are many conditions that have been mentioned. But I will only mention tonight inshallah. And tomorrow, two of the main conditions that we can derive from the ahadith. But like I said, many have stated other conditions which have no base. For example, some have said that the reason why Imam al-Mahdi does not appear, because one of the conditions of the reappearance of the Imam is that the world has to be completely filled with injustice. Why doesn't the Imam reappear? Because the world hasn't reached that level yet. It has to reach the peak, the climax, completely filled with injustice. It hasn't happened now, and that's why the Imam doesn't reappear. And unfortunately, some ignorant people, based on this incorrect understanding of the conditions of the reappearance of the Imam, they have said, then wait a minute, if the Imam is waiting for the world to be completely filled with injustice, let's try to hasten the reappearance of the Imam. How? By adding some injustice to the world. Let's add some injustice so that the Imam will come faster. Now this, our ulama say, this condition has absolutely no basis. The ahadith do not state that the world has to reach the peak in injustice. No. The ahadith, all they say is this, that Imam al-Mahdi will rise and appear in a time in which the world is filled with injustice. That doesn't mean the world isn't filled with injustice now. The world is always filled with injustice. It was filled with injustice during the lives of the Imams. It was filled with injustice during the Ghayba Sughra, during Al-Ghaybatul Kubra, and now. It doesn't mean it has to reach the peak. The only thing the ahadith are saying is that the Imam will reappear in a time in which the world will be filled with injustice, just like it was always filled with injustice. So this condition, it has no proof in the ahadith, according to most ulama. So tonight and tomorrow, I will mention the two main conditions that are keeping the Imam from rising, that are keeping the Imam from appearing. And both conditions are dependent on us human beings. They are in our hands. We are the ones that have caused the delay in the reappearance of Imam al-Mahdi, Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif. So what are these two conditions to the reappearance of the Imam? The first condition to the reappearance of the Imam will not reappear unless this happens, is that the people of the world have to reach a state in which they truly yearn for Imam al-Mahdi. They truly want Imam al-Mahdi. Look around you today. Do most people care about Imam Mahdi? No. Do most people yearn for Imam Mahdi? No. Do most people feel that there is a need for Imam al-Mahdi in this world? No. It's only when the world acknowledges that they need Imam al-Mahdi, Allah will send him. Right now, most people in the world, they don't see a need for Imam Mahdi. Why? Because they believe that they, independently of Imam Mahdi, independently of Allah, they can manage governing themselves successfully. We don't need Imam Mahdi. We don't need Allah. We can govern ourselves. We can establish justice in the world ourselves. So that's why there is no sense of need for Imam Mahdi, because most people feel that we can govern ourselves. Imam al-Mahdi will not appear until the people understand and come to realize that this is an illusion. You human beings, independently of divine knowledge, divine guidance of Allah by sending Imam al-Mahdi, you can never fulfill this task. You human beings will never be able to fill the world with justice without the help of Allah, without the help of Imam al-Mahdi. Whenever human beings begin to realize this, and they begin to acknowledge their weakness and their incapability, and they begin to despair in their government, and they begin to what? Yearn for Imam al-Mahdi, only then will Imam al-Mahdi appear. And this will not happen, I tell you. This, human beings reaching the state of despairing in their own selves, in their governments, and turning to Allah and Imam al-Mahdi, this state, they will not reach it. This will not happen, but after every political party, movement, and group in this world rules and then fails. Every political party that wants to rule, every movement, every group that wants to reach power, has to reach power, fail, human beings realize there is no one that can bring justice, then they turn to Allah and Imam Mahdi. Only then Imam Al-Mahdi will appear. What do I mean? Every type of government has to what? Has to rule and fail. Only then Imam Al-Mahdi will come. Like what? Monarchies and dictatorships. Like, for example, democracies and republics. The types of governments that we have today, the economical system. You will have, for example, the capitalists, the communists, the fascists, the socialists. You will have, for example, the secularists and the religious. You will have the conservatives and the liberals. You will have the moderates and the extremists. Every type of government has to come, rule, fail, so that the people find out and realize that we are incapable of ruling ourselves. It has to be Allah. It has to be Imam Al-Mahdi. Only then will we turn to Imam Al-Mahdi and yearn for him. Imam Al-Sadiq alayhi salam, he mentions this in a hadith. In one hadith it's narrated that Imam Al-Sadiq says, مَا يَكُونُ هَذَا الْأَمْرِ. Imam Al-Mahdi will not appear until what? مَا يَكُونُ هَذَا الْأَمْرِ حَتَّى لَا يَبْقَى صِنْفٌ مِّنَ النَّاسِ إِلَّا وَقَدْ وُلُّوا عَلَى النَّاسِ. Imam Al-Mahdi will not appear until every group, every political movement will rule and fail. Only then Imam Al-Mahdi will appear. Now they asked why? Why does this have to happen? Imam Al-Sadiq, he answered. He said, حَتَّى لَا يَقُولَ قَائِلٌ لَوْ وَلِّينَا لَعَدَلْنَا. Allahu Akbar. What a beautiful hadith. Imam Al-Sadiq says, so that once Imam Al-Mahdi appears, and he rises and he begins to fill the world with justice, no one can claim, I can do just like the Imam. I was never given a chance. Some people, when Imam Al-Mahdi, when he will reappear, they will oppose to him. Why? They will say, Imam Al-Mahdi is not the only one that can implement justice. I can also implement justice, but I was never given a chance. What do we tell them? You're lying. Because every political movement and party, they were given a chance. Every group. And they failed miserably. So don't tell me Imam Al-Mahdi, I can do like him. Imam Al-Sadiq says so that no one can oppose Imam Al-Mahdi and say we don't need him. No. The whole world will realize that we need Al-Mahdi because everyone failed. Everyone had an opportunity. Everyone had a chance. And everyone failed miserably in implementing justice. For example, I'll give you an example. When Imam Al-Mahdi reappears, the Muslim Brotherhood, Ikhwan al-Muslimin, they could claim, you know what? We never got a chance to implement justice. We don't need Al-Mahdi. We will also what? Implement justice. Give us what? Give us the rule. Give us the government and we will bring justice. What will Imam Mahdi tell them? What will the people tell them? I don't think so. You had your chance and you blew it. And every other group that comes and tells Imam Al-Mahdi, we can also do like you, we can also establish justice like you, Imam Al-Mahdi will tell them, you had your chance and you blew it. No one can do it but Imam Al-Mahdi himself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by this, He wants to show us what? That without Ahlul Bayt, you human beings cannot rule your own selves. Without Ahlul Bayt, you human beings are not infallible. We only have the 14 Ma'soomeen. We only have 14 infallible members of Ahlul Bayt. Everyone else is not Ma'soom. He will make mistakes. Either on purpose, he will be unjust, or he may make mistakes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants human beings to realize this point. That you need Imam Al-Mahdi. That you need divine interference from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Only then will human beings what? Will realize the need for Imam Mahdi. And once all the governments fail and we find out that none of the governments brought justice, people will turn to Allah, will turn to Imam Al-Mahdi because they will see we human beings failed. We could not bring justice to this world. This is when humanity as a whole will begin to yearn for Imam Al-Mahdi. When Imam Al-Mahdi appears, will they oppose him? No. Yes, there will be a small opposition, the evil ones, but most people right away they'll join the Imam because they're sick and tired of the injustice of the world. And they know, they acknowledge and realize that it's only Imam Al-Mahdi that will bring them justice. That's why they will easily join Imam Al-Mahdi. Most people of the world, when Imam Al-Mahdi appears, they won't oppose him because they'll be waiting for him. Allah says, I will not send Al-Mahdi until you reach that state. That you realize you need Imam Mahdi. You need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's divine interference. Now, some people may tell you this. What about the West? The Western experience comes to prove that we human beings do not need Allah. We do not need Imam Mahdi because the West has successfully managed to implement justice. Some people, they say this. We do not need Al-Mahdi. Why? Because look, in the Western countries, they implemented justice. Everyone's happy. There's no need for Al-Mahdi. So based on this, they say, we don't need Imam Mahdi because the West has successfully managed to govern, people govern themselves, and there's justice, and there's equality. Now, do you truly think there is full justice in the West? Here, I don't want to compare the West with the Middle East. No one's comparing. Of course, it's much better than the Middle East. I'm comparing the West to the government of Imam Al-Mahdi. You think the West truly has justice? You truly think that the Western countries have implemented justice and spread justice everywhere? Let's begin with their foreign policies. I don't want to get too critical, so I'll just say the West. You think the West's foreign policies is just? Look at what's happening in the Middle East. Look at how many people die every day. What has the West done about that? They stayed silent. Every day people die here and there. In Saudi Arabia, the governance of Saudi Arabia, every day it is oppressing its citizens, especially the Shia, putting them in jails, discriminating against them, and killing them at times. What has the West done? Most of the West is silent. This is justice. When you stay silent, you see dhulm, you see oppression, you can do something about it. You stay silent. When in Bahrain, every day people are getting imprisoned and killed, you stay silent. Not only have they stayed silent, where did these countries get their weapons from? The West or China? I don't think these weapons were made in China. These weapons were made in the West. This is the justice of the West, that it keeps on selling weapons and weapons and weapons to these despotic tyrants and regimes. And you say this is justice? How many Iraqi people die every day? Do you even hear about that in the news? It doesn't even make it to the headlines. When 50 people die in the West, the whole world shakes. We're against it. We condemn it. But every day 50 people die in Iraq. Who cares? This is justice, huh? This is justice. When my people die, this is a red line. But let millions of other people die, to hell with them. This is justice? This is the justice of the West that we're so proud of. This is how we stay silent when we say dhulm and all we care about is ourselves. When every day Palestinian people are killed and the West is supporting that country that you all know, that we can't even mention the name of that country. And this is the freedom of the West. We can't even mention the name of that country that the West gives billions of dollars to and supports every day while they kill the Palestinians. This is the justice of the West that we're so happy about. Every day, brothers and sisters, people are dying in the Mediterranean, the migrants. They want to go to Europe. Just I read in the past 6 months, almost 3,000 people drowned in the Mediterranean. Migrants that want to go to Europe. What has Europe, the West, done? They closed their borders. To hell with you, die, drown. This is the West. I'm not saying there's not good points. There's many good points. But don't tell me the West has brought complete justice. This is not justice, this is dhulm. This is the foreign policy. You might say, okay, leave the foreign policies. At least inside the countries, there's justice, equality, fairness, domestically. Correct? I don't think so. You think that there's truly domestic justice, internal justice, and equality inside the West? Let's take a look at, for example, the US. Who is the leader of the West? Who is the most powerful country in the... Do you think that the governments of the West, and specifically of the US, do you think the government truly represents the opinions of the people or the personal interests of the own what? Of the own politicians? Why do you think the people in the US right now are sick and tired of politicians? You see the campaign. Because they know all they do is lie and lie and lie, and they do what serves their benefit. They don't do what's right. And that's why people, where some of us are amazed, how can the people of the US, they all go and what? Or many of them, they are what? Supporting Trump. Trump to us is a complete idiot, and so on and so forth. Because they're sick and tired of the normal politicians, they say, let's go and try Trump. Now, of course, Trump isn't the solution. There is a problem. This is not the solution. But this shows you why they went and they chose Trump. Because they're sick and tired of the political system. They know it's all dhulm upon dhulm upon dhulm. That's why they went after Trump. You think there's internal justice? Ask the African Americans about justice in the US. They'll tell you about the injustice. Ask the minorities, the Hispanics, the Muslims, and how they are discriminated against in the US. And then you tell me, no, there's complete equality and justice in America. I'm not comparing it to the Middle East. I'm saying I'm comparing to the government of Imam Al-Mahdi, where there is 100% justice. Don't tell me the West brings 100% justice. How about economically? You think there's economic justice and equality in the West? There was a magazine article in Forbes magazine. They had an article that was titled this: the United States of America is the richest country in the world and is the most country in the world that has unequal distribution of the wealth. The richest country and the most unequal country in the world in wealth distribution. That's why, if you remember, a few years ago there was the Wall Street protests, because they knew this, that there is dhulm in the economic system. The rich keep on getting richer, and we, the poor ones, the middle class or the poor, we can't get anything. And that's why if you read the statistics about the unequal distribution of wealth in America, they say that 1% of Americans, the top wealthiest 1%, they own how much? They own 40% of the American wealth. 1% owns 40%, and then 99% has to share the rest of the 60%. This is equality that you're so happy about. They also say that if you take the 400 wealthiest Americans, they have more money than half of the American population. 160 million Americans, they have less money than the 400 richest Americans. And then they say, we have equality here. We have what? We have a just system. MashaAllah, what a just system you have. In Canada, it's not too much better. Type on the internet, unequal distribution of wealth in Canada. It's a little better than the US. It's not too much better. Statistics state that the top 10% in Canada, they own half of the wealth in Canada. And then 90%, they share the second half. And another statistic says that the top 50 wealthiest Canadians, they own 94% of the economy. And then the second half, they have to share 6%. And every single country in the West is similar. And then they say, we have peace here, we have what? We have equality here, we have justice. Which justice? Which? Yes, if you compare them to Saddam, yes, there is somewhat justice, of course. We can't compare them to Saddam. You can't compare them to Saudi Arabia. But you can't tell me that I don't need the government of Imam Mahdi because I have justice here. What justice? It's an illusion. We always state that according to the ahadith, the government of Imam Mahdi is a government where there is no crimes. There are absolutely no killings, no crimes. 100% peace. 100% what? 100% protection. No one has to fear for his life. Read the statistics about crimes in the US. Every single year, 30,000 people die because of gun violence, and it's their fault. Because they what? They have to allow people to buy guns. It's our constitutional right. Fine. Because of your constitution, you're seeing every year 30,000 people are getting killed. Khalas, change this constitution. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wrote this constitution. Change it. No, it's our constitutional right. We have to own guns. Khalas, you want to own guns, then you pay the price. Every year, 30,000. One of the prices, what was happened 2 days ago. If there's no guns, how can one man go in a few minutes kill 50 people? He can't. Because you allow people to buy guns, then there's no safety. And then they say, what? America is what? America is this and America is that. The US is this, the US is that. Look at how much nuclear weapons there are today in the world. Do you know how many? They say anywhere from 15 to 16,000 nuclear warheads today in the world. Who was the first country to develop these nuclear weapons? Iran, North Korea, China, the United States of America. The first country in the world to develop this deadly weapon. And the only country in the world, by the way, that ever used the nuclear weapon against civilians was the US. And then they say we established justice. And they spend more money on nuclear bombs and on their military than any other country in the world. All the countries combined don't spend as much as America. We have enough bombs to destroy the world. The whole world. To wipe out the human race. Do you feel safe in this world? You don't think there's a need for Imam Mahdi? You truly do not feel a need for Imam al-Mahdi to come and get rid of all this tyranny, all this inequality, all this injustice? If I don't see that, there's something wrong with me. There is no full justice in this world, brothers and sisters. There is no justice. It's only Imam al-Mahdi that will come and fill the world with justice. So only after we human beings realize that we cannot implement justice, full justice in this world, and then we despair in our governments, we begin to beg Imam Mahdi to come and yearn for him. Only then will Allah send him. So who's keeping Imam al-Mahdi in the ghaiba? Us or him? It's us. We don't feel there's a need for him. If he comes out today, oh, we don't need you. We have the West. We have our own political system. Go back to where you came from. You want Imam Mahdi to come out in this condition? He has to just fight everyone? Only when the majority begins to feel the need for the Imam, they accept him, they want him, they ask for him, Allah sends him. You don't want him? Fine. Live in your miseries. So this is the first condition, according to the ahadith, of the reappearance of the Imam. Why doesn't the Imam reappear? Because of this reason. The second reason, the second condition for the reappearance of the Imam, according to the ahadith, is that the Imam needs supporters. Before I elaborate on this, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Imam al-Mahdi needs supporters in order for him to rise. Many people, many of us think that when Imam al-Mahdi appears, now he has a huge task. What does he have to do? He has to establish world justice, correct? Many of us have this perception. Imam al-Mahdi will do everything through miracles. He has a magic wand. He'll wave it. All the evil people will die. He'll wave it again. Everyone will believe. And we're going to live happily ever after. Yes? Unfortunately, things aren't as easy as the cartoons and as Disney. When Imam al-Mahdi appears, he's not going to use too much miracles. I already spoke about this a few nights ago. We have to understand the point of miracles, the philosophy of miracles. The Imams and the Prophets of Allah only use miracles to prove that they're truthful. So Imam al-Mahdi will use a few miracles to show everyone that he is Imam Mahdi. After that, you can't use a miracle every day. Things have to naturally happen. And that's why we do say that Imam Mahdi will use many miracles. For example, some ahadith say, the same angels that helped Rasulullah in the battle of Badr, they will be the 5,000 angels, they will be with Imam Mahdi. Some ahadith say 13,000 angels. In one incident that I'll speak about, inshallah, in the signs of reappearance, a group of the troops of the Sufyani, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will make the earth swallow them, al-khasfu fil bayda. So there will be some miracles that Imam al-Mahdi will use. But this is rare. This is what? This is not the majority of the seerah of Imam al-Mahdi. Imam al-Mahdi will have everything happen naturally. He will naturally conquer the world. It has to happen step by step. And since the duty of Imam al-Mahdi is great, since the duty of Imam al-Mahdi is great, he needs great people, correct? You have a big job, you need great people to do it. Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam, he was asked about this in one hadith. A companion, he asked Imam al-Baqir one day, he tells him, إِنَّهُمْ يَقُولُونَ لَوْ قَامَ الْمَهْدِي لَاسْتَقَامَتْ لَهُ الْأُمُورُ عَفْوًا وَلَا يُهْرِيقُ مَحْجَمَةَ دَمٍ. He tells Imam al-Baqir, a companion, that some people, they say that when al-Mahdi reappears, everything will what? Everything will be so easy, magic, everything will be through miracles. And he will not have to sweat it, or there won't be any problems, and not a single drop of blood will be shed. This is what the man tells Imam al-Baqir. What does Imam al-Baqir tell him? Imam al-Baqir tells him, لو استقامت الأمور لأحد عفوا لاستقامت لرسول الله إذ أدميت رباعيته وشج وجهه. He says, look, if Allah wanted everything to happen through miracles very easily, He would have done it to Rasulullah. Rasulullah, 13 years, he was in Mecca. He was chased. He was persecuted. They tried to kill him. They bothered him. Why didn't he use miracles? He had to run away for his life to Medina. He had to run away to Ta'if. Why? Where's the miracles? Where's the mu'jizah? You don't use a mu'jizah miracle every day. People have to naturally believe, or else where's the test? What's the point of creating us? The point is a test, right? So Allah wants people to naturally, based on their own will, to come and believe. But yet Allah will help Rasulullah. He'll help His messengers with a few miracles here and there so that they can prevail. So the Imam, he tells him that if Allah wanted to give too much miracles to a person, He would have given it to Rasulullah. And then the Imam, he says, لا والذي نفسي بيده لا يكون هذا الأمر حتى نمسح نحن وأنتم العرق والعلق. He says, Wallahi, the government of Imam al-Mahdi will not be formed, and he will not fill the world with justice unless you, the followers of al-Mahdi, unless you shed blood and you sweat. So he says blood and sweat will be shed. Basically, you're going to have to put a fight. You're going to have to earn it. Step by step, the Imam is going to conquer the world and fill it with justice. It's not going to be too many miracles. Few miracles only the Imam will use. So since the Imam needs it to happen naturally, can he do it all by himself? If he tries to, tomorrow he appears all by himself, he wants to conquer, what are they going to do? They're going to kill him right away. He can't use too many miracles, remember? This is the philosophy of miracles. This is how Allah wants it. He'll be like Imam Hussein in Karbala between the enemies, and they'll kill him, and khalas, the ultimate goal of Allah will be destroyed. So since it's a grand plan, the Imam needs grand people. The Imam needs great people. An outstanding plan, like the plan of the Imam, needs outstanding men. Men that have reached the highest levels of Iman and sincerity, ikhlas, submission and loyalty, so the Imam can rely on them. Imam can't go all by himself. So without those loyal supporters, Imam al-Mahdi will not appear. What's keeping Imam al-Mahdi? The loyal supporters. Imam al-Mahdi cannot find those loyal supporters. And this, my friends, this is the policy and the stance of every prophet of Allah and every Imam. If he does not have supporters, he does not fight the enemies. He does not try to establish justice. Allah only wants the prophets and the Imams to establish justice if they have supporters. How? Let me tell you the story of Imam Ali. Imam Ali alayhi salam, when he became the apparent Khalifa after Uthman, some people complained to him. You know what they said? They said, Ya Ali, why is it that you claim you're the true Khalifa of Rasulullah? Why is it that you never fought the first and the second and the third? You stayed in your home. But now all of a sudden you became the Khalifa. Isn't this a double standard? Why did you stay in your house? How many times were asked this question? If Ali is your true Imam and Khalifa, how come he didn't fight those people that you claim are evil and those people that you claim usurped and stole the Khilafah? Why did he stay in his house? Imam Ali, he gives a beautiful answer. He tells them why he stayed silent and why after Uthman, no, he rose to power. What's the difference? He told them the difference is, in the beginning years, I had no supporters. Now I have supporters. It's as simple as that. And then Imam Ali, he told the people, I followed the sunnah of the prophets of Allah. This is how all the prophets of Allah were. They told him how. He said, look at, for example, Ibrahim. Ibrahim, when he told them to disbelieve in the idols, believe in Allah, they told him, Ya Ibrahim, we will punish you. Leave us alone. When they disbelieved in him, what did he do? He said, I will leave you. And remember we mentioned, he went into a ghaibah. He said, forget you. Why didn't he fight them? Why? They're worshipping idols every day because he had no supporters. Imam Ali said, Ibrahim had no supporters. He backed off. I had no supporters. I backed off. Why do you object to me? Why do you object to Ali ibn Abi Talib and you don't object to Ibrahim? Likewise, he mentioned the story of Lut. Lut, they disbelieved in him, the Prophet of Allah, and they tried to kill him. What did he do? لو أن لي قوة أو آوي إلى ركن شديد. He said, I have no supporters. So he backed off. He ran away. He said, I had no supporters. I backed off, just like Lut. Yusuf, wasn't he a prophet of Allah? When they threw him in the well, why didn't he ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to save him? He had no supporters, no one to help him, correct? Likewise, when Zulaykha and the woman of the castle, they were chasing him and every day there's a problem. What did he ask Allah to save him from these people? Allah sent him to the prison, correct? Me likewise, I had no supporters. Imam Ali says, I asked Allah to save me from the zalimeen, Allah, and that's why I stayed in my house. Likewise, Musa, when he killed that person in Egypt, didn't he run away to what? To Madian? Why did he run away? Why? Isn't he a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because he had no supporters. I had no supporters, I stayed home. Likewise, Harun, when Musa went to the mountain, he placed Harun as his successor. Musa came back, he saw it's chaos. The people have gone back to ibadat, shirk, they have gone to shirk. He told Harun, why did you do this? Why did you allow them? Why did you fight them? What did he say? ابن أم إن القوم استضعفوني وكادوا يقتلونني. He says, I had no supporters. If I would have fought, they would have killed me. Imam Ali says, me, I'm just like Harun. If I would have fought, they would have killed me. I had no supporters. And then he mentions our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Sallu ala Muhammad. He says, Rasulullah, 13 years, he never fought the people of Mecca. Why? Didn't they try to kill him? Weren't they worshipping the idols? Why didn't he fight them? Why did he have to run away to Medina? Because he had no supporters, correct or no? Why did Rasulullah run away to Medina? Why didn't he fight them? Be brave, Ya Rasulullah. This is not how it works. This is not braveness. This is stupidity when you have no companions and you go and fight. This is called in Arabic tahawwur. Rasulullah, he goes in Medina. Now he has companions, now he fights. I followed the sunnah of Rasulullah. So why do you object to me? He said, those few years, initial years, I had no supporters. Now, the people, they came to me and they said, we will support you. I said, fine. Now you want me? I will come and I will lead. And that's why Imam Ali alayhi salam, hadith tell us, after Rasulullah died, don't think he sat in his house and he said, let the zalimeen do what they want to know. The ahadith tell us, Imam Ali and Fatima with Imam Hassan and Hussein, every night, they would go to the house of the Sahaba, knock their doors and tell them, and Imam Ali used to remind them that he is the Khalifa. Don't you remember Ghadir? Don't you remember this? Don't you remember that? Why have you abandoned me right now? And then he would try to mobilize them and recruit them. Imam Ali managed to recruit 44 people of the Sahaba. They all gave their words, the ahadith say. Imam Ali would tell them, tomorrow meet me in this place and we will fight the zalimeen. Imam Ali used to come the second day. How many people would he find? 4. 40 people back down. He would only find Salman, Abu Dhar, Miqdad, and 1/4 person. He would only find 4 people. Only. The rest they would what? Leave him. He would go a second night. He would tell them, you didn't come today. Oh, sorry, we were busy. Whatever excuses. Okay, come tomorrow. Once again, the 44 would say, okay. He comes the second day. He only finds 4. A third day, 3 times Imam Ali did this, so that he proves to them that you abandoned me. Don't tell me I sat in my house. You abandoned me. You want me to go 4 people against thousands? After the third day, Imam Ali realized, he knew that they will not support him. He went and he sat in his house. And that's why Imam Ali himself, he says in Nahj al-Balagha, what does he say about this? He says, وَطَفِقْتُ أَرْتَئِي بَيْنَ أَنْ أَصُولَ بِيَدٍ جَذَّاء أَوْ أَصْبِرَ عَلَى طَخْيَةٍ عَمْيَاء يشيب فيه الصغير ويهرم فيه الكبير ويكدح فيها مؤمن حتى يلقى ربه فرأيت أن الصبر على هاتا أحجى فصبرت وفي العين قذى وفي الحلق شجى أرى تراثي نهبة. Imam Ali says, after Rasulullah died, I saw 2 ways, 2 options in front of me. Either I fight بيد جذة, without supporters, without a right hand, or أصبر على or I have patience because I have no supporters. And then he says, فَرَأَيْتُ أَنَّ الصَّبْرَ عَلَىٰ تَأْحْجَى. And then I realized that it's more wise to have patience, because if I go fight, they'll kill me right away. Islam is discontinued. The true message of Rasulullah is discontinued. So he says that I had to make a difficult decision, but I had no supporters. And then after Uthman, when they came to Imam Ali, and they told him, Ya Ali, now we want you to be the Khalifa. Okay, now I have supporters. Now you want me? I accept. Because now Imam Ali can't say, I don't accept, because they will say, see, you don't want to rule. You let the zalimeen conquer the world and spread evil in the world. Or else we came to you, we told you, come, lead us. You said no. So Imam Ali had to say yes. And because when Imam Ali became the 4th Khalifa, many people, they said, Ya Ali, you love Khilafah, you love the world, you're chasing after the dunya. I said, La wallahi, I'm not chasing after the dunya. The people came to me and they said, we want you to be the Khalifa. I said, okay. And that's why Imam Ali, he answers this in Nahj al-Balagha. What does he say in Nahj al-Balagha? He says these beautiful words. He says, وَالَّذِي فَلَقَ الْحَبَّ وبرأ النسم لولا حضور الحاضر وقيام الحجة بوجود الناصر لألقيت حبلها على غاربها ولسقيت آخرها بكأس أولها ولألفيتم دنياكم هذه أزهد عندي من عفطة عنز. What beautiful words. Just the eloquence, it intoxicates you. This is how beautiful the eloquence. Leave the deep meanings of Imam Ali. Just the eloquence is so beautiful. Imam Ali tells them, no, I did not chase after the dunya. He tells them, this dunya of you is like aftat anz to me. You think I care about the dunya and about mulk and about ruling? No, wallahi, I don't care about this. I'm not concerned about this. To me, it's like the sneeze of a goat. It's worthless. So why did you accept khilafah? He says, because of the people, they came and supported me. What can I do? I tell them no. This is the policy of Ahlul Bayt. All of them. I have supporters, I fight. I don't have supporters, I stay. And this is the policy of all the prophets of Allah. This is not something new. This is not something Imam Ali brought new. This is not something any of the Imams brought that was new. And that's why you come to Imam Al-Hasan alayhi salam. Why didn't he fight Muawiyah? Some people say, why did he make that deal with Muawiyah? He had no supporters. They say his supporters were less than 5. His true loyal supporters. Because even his cousin, one of his cousins, he betrayed him and he went with Muawiyah. If your own cousin is betraying you, who are you going to rely on? He claims to be your follower and Shia, but you can't rely on him. This person's loyalty is to Muawiyah. So that's why Imam Hassan, he had no supporters. History says that a man comes from the ashab, close Shia of Imam Hassan. After Imam Hassan, he made that treaty with Muawiyah, he comes and this is how he greets Imam Hassan. He says, Assalamu alayka ya mudhilla al-mu'mineen. Peace be upon you, peace be with you, you who made the mu'mineen dhaleel. You basically humiliated the mu'mineen. If this is how the Shia, the close Shia are with Imam Hassan, how do you want him to fight? They'll abandon him and sell him cheap. And that's what they tried to do in one of the battles. They conspired against Imam Hassan, his own people, that once the battle begins, we'll arrest him and take him to Muawiyah. And he was hit by a dagger. He was hit in his leg in that. And then you want Imam Hassan to fight? To fight with whom? All by himself? Imam Hussein, on the contrary, he received 18,000 letters from the people of Al-Kufa telling him, come and fight. Imam Hussein says, okay, now I have supporters. And he had with him how many ashab? Some ahadith say 72, some 82, some 100, some ahadith say up to 140. Imam Hussein had those loyal supporters. That's why he set off to Karbala and Kufa. If Imam Hussein had 3-4 supporters and companions, he would sit home just like Imam Hassan. There's no difference between Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein. The circumstances were different. Imam Hussein had supporters, he went and fought. All the other Imams of Ahlul Bayt, they had no supporters. All of them. So that's why they never fought. Now you might object. You might say, wait a minute. During the life of Imam Al-Sadiq, there was so much Shia. Don't we say he had thousands of students? So why didn't Imam Al-Sadiq rise against the Abbasis, against Bani Al-Abbas, if he had thousands of Shia? This is a good question, huh? It's an objection. Someone objected to Imam Al-Sadiq during his life. He told him this. One hadith says, a man came to Imam Al-Sadiq one day and he told him, you have so much ashab, so much companions and supporters. Why are you sitting in your house? Go and fight Bani Al-Abbas. They're so evil. They're killing the Shia. They're killing him. Why don't you fight? Imam Al-Sadiq told him, how much Shia you think I have? The man said, I have so much Shia. You have so much Shia, I can't even count them. So basically in the thousands. Imam Al-Sadiq said, thousands of Shia I have? This is what you think? Imam Al-Sadiq says, أما والله لو كملت العدة الموصوفة 310 لكان ما تريدون. He says, Wallahi, if 313 companions were available for me, I would not sit in my house. I would go and I would rise against the government. Imam Al-Sadiq says, I don't have 313. You tell me I have thousands? Because the quorum is not met, I cannot rise all by myself without those loyal companions. And the same thing applies to Imam Al-Mahdi. Ajjal Allah Ta'ala farajahu al-sharif. What's keeping Imam Al-Mahdi from rising is what kept the other Imams from rising. No 313. The Imam, so much Shia, he can't find 313. In one hadith, Imam Al-Jawad, he speaks about Imam Al-Mahdi, and then he says, only after the 313 are found, they come to Mecca, they join the Imam, only then the Imam will what? They will rise. Before that, the Imam will not rise all by himself. Allahu Akbar. We have millions of Shia today. Imam Al-Mahdi can't find 313. So many pious Shia, knowledgeable Shia, Imam Al-Mahdi cannot find 313. And then we say, why is he in the Ghaibah? Where are the 313? If there's no 313, how can the Imam come? And that's why Shaykh Al-Mufid, he says based on this hadith of Imam Al-Jawad, he says that in order for Imam Al-Mahdi to reappear, the quorum must be met. 313 companions. Without 313 companions who are the generals, Imam Al-Mahdi will not appear. Because Imam Al-Mahdi, what? We said he's not going to use miracles too much. So he needs men. And he needs loyal men that he can trust. Those loyal men that he can trust are not available. What can the Imam do? Allahu Akbar. So many Imams, they couldn't find 313. 1,200 years of ghaibah, Imam Mahdi can't find 313. Imam Al-Sadiq says, if I had 313, I would rise. I wouldn't wait for Al-Mahdi. He doesn't have 313. And I tell you, not just 313. In one hadith, Imam Al-Sadiq, listen to this hadith. Imam Al-Sadiq, he tells one of his ashab, I don't even have 17. 17! A day, one of the days, Sudayr al-Sayrafi comes to Imam Al-Sadiq. He's one of the companions. He tells him, لا يسعك القعود. You can no longer stay in your house. Look at Bani al-Abbas, what they're doing. You have to rise. He tells him, with whom? He says, you're Shia. You have so much Shia. Imam Al-Sadiq asks Sudayr, how many Shia do I have? He says, you have 100,000 Shia. Imam Al-Sadiq sarcastically says, 100,000, mashallah. He says, no, you have 200,000. 200,000. And then he says, no, half of the world is your Shia. And you stay in your house, you say, I have no supporters. Imam Al-Sadiq, he said, come with me, Ya Sudayr. He says, we went to a place, we prayed. In a farm, there was goats. Imam Al-Sadiq, after we prayed, he told me, Ya Sudayr, if I had that many, he pointed to the goats, if I had that many supporters, wallahi, I would not sit in my house. He says, I counted them, 17 goats. Imam Al-Sadiq says, if I have this many supporters, I would fight. He doesn't have 17. Now the question is this. With the thousands of Shia that he had, why doesn't Imam Al-Sadiq see more than 17? Why does he say only 17? Why in the other hadith he says 313? Why hasn't Imam Al-Mahdi found the 313? There's hundreds of millions of Shia today. This is what I will speak about tomorrow. The qualities of the companions of Imam Al-Mahdi. Because Imam Al-Mahdi and the rest of the Imams, they don't look for just anyone that says, I'm Shia. There are certain qualities that those individuals must possess. Only then the Imams can consider them as their true Shia. The Imams want the true Shia, which is very difficult for someone to reach that state. And it shows you 1,200 years, those 313 haven't what? Maybe in every period, in every generation, you have 50, 100, 200. But 313? No. Tomorrow I will speak about this, inshallah. What are the qualities of the 313? I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us all, to accept our a'mal and to forgive us during this month of Ramadan. There is a request, if we can please recite this surah, this ayah 5 times together, so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the blessings of Ahlul Bayt and Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman, that He may cure all the ones that are sick and anyone that is in need. So let us please recite this verse 5 times together. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Everyone together. أَمَّنْ يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ أَمَّنْ يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ